Hey guys, Magnet here, and welcome back to episode 2 of How to Be a Better Starcraft Player. This episode is all about improving mechanics, multitasking, and raw speed. Be aware that when you decided to play Starcraft, you decided to play a very hard game. This isn't the type of game where being good comes with just knowing more about the game than somebody else. This is a real-time strategy game, meaning that you must combine strategy with raw speed and the ability to juggle multiple tasks. The primary way most people measure speed in StarCraft is by looking at people's hands or by checking their APM. Fast players definitely show it through their hands, but players' hands should be an afterthought when they're playing since their brain is actually what's doing all the work. What ultimately matters is getting a high volume of tasks done as quickly as possible without wasting movements. The way you can cut down on wasted movements is to assure that your hotkey setup is comfortable and efficient. There's no right answer to hotkeys because everyone has different physical equipment and preferences. All that initially matters is that you're comfortable enough to get things done without being encumbered by your setup. The bare basics of mechanics can be summarized with one rule: use hotkeys whenever you can. In general, you want your mouse to be in the center of the screen at all times, while your keyboard is doing everything else. This seems silly, but you'd be surprised how much faster you can do things if you obey this rule. Specifically, get very comfortable with Shift, Control, 1 through 9 control groups, the function keys, which are F1 through F8, and all of your command card hotkeys. Getting used to every single keyboard key that you can utilize is going to go a long way. The biggest and most important aspect of improving your speed, aside from altering the way you accomplish tasks, is repetition. The way you do things should be built into your brain. For example, for me, building more workers is as simple as hitting 1 in Q, and I've done that a million times by now. This goes for placing buildings, making units, jumping to new map locations, etc. Every common action should have muscle memory associated to it, and the only way you're going to get this is by doing it so many times that you don't even have to think about what buttons you're pressing. You just tell your brain to do it and it gets done. The baseline to being fast is realizing that tasks need to be done, and every task will take time. I'll simulate the time it takes to do this list of tasks, and show you that just improving the speed in which you do each one will make a big difference. First I'll do it not really worrying about how fast I do something, just to show a difference between playing casually and playing as fast as possible.
What's going on? Go, go, go! Gateway, coming through. You're the boss. Roger. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Finally, I'll do it as quickly as possible to demonstrate that being able to do each task quickly makes a huge difference.
Armed and ready. Yeah, whatever.
The time it took me to do each task is displayed, and we can see that cutting down on the time it took each task severely reduced the overall time. Every extra second I can spare will put me at an advantage over an opponent that maybe can't do the same task as quickly. Eventually, a lack of speed will mean less of a volume of tasks that a player can do, which means that they'll fall behind in economy, making units, taking extra bases, and so on. Simply put, you'll win a lot of games by being able to do things faster than your opponent. A common thing I see people wasting time on is watching something being done. For example, I can tell this unit to walk over here and place a nexus, and because we want that satisfaction of watching it happen after we told it to happen, we'll naturally feel compelled to watch until it completes that command. This is something you should try to cut down on as well. If you told a unit to do something, trust that it will do it unless something else interrupts it. So for example, if you want to make a new building, tell the worker to do it and move on to something else. This way you can squeeze a lot of extra actions in when otherwise you'd just be watching and waiting. This basic example introduces multitasking, and everything in the game is bound by a fixed time. In many instances, when a task is being done, we don't really need to pay attention to it happening, but there is an important action for us to do when the task is finished. If we tell a worker to build a command center, it's going to take him quite a bit of time and there's no reason for us to sit and watch. But we will want to transfer workers to the new base so they can start mining. We can also include many other things like a medevac flying across the map, upgrades finishing, new tech buildings completing, and of course producing workers. You'll quickly notice that at any point you could be juggling dozens of tasks at one time, and the people that can better manage this juggling will play much better. A huge component to improving speed is prioritizing things that are important. Just looking at this list, we can see which are more important and which aren't. Putting time into the most important things is what really matters, because even pros can't do everything that could be done throughout a game. We could continue to talk about this for a long time, but episode 3 will talk a lot about having the proper focus on what you should be doing throughout a game, and what you should be focusing on in order to improve. The next video is in this playlist, and a link is in the description below if you aren't watching from the playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.